I've made Gourmet Magazine's 5-ingredient hazelnut biscotti before, but this time I'm going to do it with some dried apricots and some almonds instead of the hazelnuts. And I'm also going to use a new ingredient that I found. It is organic coconut flour by Rob's Red Mill. And according to the label, it says that you can replace up to 20% of the flour called for in a recipe with coconut flour. It's also super high in dietary fiber. It's got 6 grams of dietary fiber, and it'll suck up a lot of the liquid. So I thought this would be a great use for substituting the sugar for agave and adding some of this great fibery coconut flour to the recipe. First of all, what I did was I took a half a cup of chopped, dry roasted and unsalted almonds, and I whirled it around in the food processor with 3/4 of a cup of agave nectar, and this is what I got, this wonderful almond sweet paste. And I'm going to add that to the mixer first, and then add in the flour and 1 egg and the coconut flour. So I'm going to shut off the camera while I do that and get back to you when I'm adding the other elements to the mixture. The dough is a bit on the dry side, so I guess that coconut flour really does drink up all the liquid. So what I'm going to do is add a couple of tablespoons of organic rice milk. It's vanilla flavored, so it should go along well. And let's put the mixer back down again and try to get the dough to be a little bit more pliable before I add the nuts and the chopped apricots. Thick as it is, the almonds and the dried apricots are now incorporated into the dough. The next step is to clean off this beater along with the bowl and roll into 2 logs all this dough. Getting the logs into 2 good-sized pieces wasn't that difficult. It was just kind of sticky and kind of messy, like all good hand-based rolling techniques are. But you can see the texture of the almonds and the dried apricots. So they're probably going to be very tasty. I tasted a little bit of the dough and it was pretty sweet and almondy, and just you could smell the coconut flour. So I'm sure that's going to give it an overall richness as well. Looking forward to trying these. So I'm going to pop them into the oven and we'll check back in when they come out of the first baking. Why is the timer set to 10 minutes? Well, because we have finished the first baking of our biscotti logs, and as is typical with most of the biscotti that I've baked in the past, and I've baked thousands of biscotti, that's for sure, you see this cracking. This one goes all the way around to the other side actually, which is a little bit more than usual, but typical. There's a little bit of cracking, and that's less noticeable when these are sliced. So after the 10 minutes are up, I'm going to slice these into 1-inch segments. Some people like to do 1/2 inch, but I like them a little thicker. But you know, a variety is fine too. And then I will put them back onto this parchment paper lined baking sheet to go back in and bake for another 10 minutes on one side, and then we'll take them out and flip the slices over again and do another 10 minutes before we finish the baking. I've sliced up the logs into 1-inch pieces, some of them a little bit more than 1 inch, but variety is the spice of life. Some of them became a little bit crumbly, so I'm thinking that when I redo this recipe, if I use the coconut flour again, I would use a little bit more liquid in the recipe. But these are supposed to dry out and be crunchy, but that's supposed to happen in the oven. So what I'm going to do now is pop these in the oven for another 10 minutes to toast them lightly on one side, and then do the same to the other. Had one little crumbly challenge over here, but otherwise they look fantastic, and the house smells delicious. There's this hint of almond in the air, along with the lovely, almost flowery scent of the coconut flour. And of course there's the tang of the apricots. Before I put these into the oven, I had tried a couple of the pieces that broke too much to actually include on the pan, and they really were very good. Although I have to say, you really couldn't taste the coconut too much. It wasn't really pronounced. It was more the almond flavor, the cookie vanilla flavor, and of course the chewy, just different freshness of the dried apricot. Anyway, I'm looking forward to tasting these once they've cooled off, and I'll probably dunk them into a nice cold glass of vanilla rice milk. So here we are with my nice chilled glass of vanilla rice milk, and I'm dunking the cookie into it, and I'm about to try it. Mmm. Wonderful.